Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic. What, in your opinion, is a realistic solution to gun violence in the United States? I sound like Bernie here, but taking money out of politics would solve most problems. From the lack of sensible gun control to the insane cost of healthcare. Take the money out. Don't allow the fucking politicians to lobby after retirement. Said realistic. Sadly, anything getting done is pretty unrealistic until there is a big shift in power to the people. There's a model used in risk analysis called the Swiss cheese model. In short, every tactic that you throw at a problem will be like a slice of Swiss cheese. Each hole in the slice of cheese is an opportunity for the problem to still slip through. Some slices will have more holes in than others, but if you have enough slices stacked, you won't have any holes. So it's not just one solution that's needed, it's lots of solutions, all working together. Some may be less directly effective, such as restricting lobbying. Some may be more directly effective, such as making background checks 100% required in all cases. In cybersecurity, this is called defense in depth. It's a classic military defense strategy too. What, you don't think that calling for better mental health care and then refusing to fund better mental health care is working? Who could have predicted that? We've tried nothing and we're out of options. No way to prevent this, says only nation where this regularly happens. Double our available crisis counselors, / Take our skyrocketing suicide rate seriously, / Destigmatize mental illness. 1 in 5 3 American adults have major depression. See below, / Require insurance, single payer, UHC, whatever, to cover psychiatry and treatment. Also, stop overworking and underpaying our labor. Control rents and utilities properly. Stop dumping industrial pollution into lower-class neighborhoods. Standardize a 30-hour work week, and eventually a 20-hour work week, so that parents have time and energy to interact with their kids. And expand comprehensive sex education to include consent, flirting and courting. I know exactly how I was made into the abominable wretch I am today. The US stopped trying before I was even born. Someone pointed out that my stats are not right regarding the rate of major depression, and so I looked it up and was way off. But to represent my case, some stats from the CDC. More than 50% of US citizens will be diagnosed with a mental illness in their lifetime. Major depression is just really common, and in the 1990s we had about 1 in 5 adults, also a lot of new SSRIs, which was exciting. Also 1 in 5 Americans will experience a mental illness in a given year. Also, 1 in 25 Americans lives with a serious mental illness, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or major depression, which makes serious lunatics like myself a bit more rare, thank goodness. This is one of those things, since there still is a stigma around mental health conditions, that once it's normalized for people to be assessed and treated, these numbers may shift unpredictably. Ban school shootings. Crime is now strictly against the law. We did it, boys. Crime ended overnight. Change the media culture, stop publishing names and pictures of shooters, increase mental health awareness and risk assessment when someone wants to own a firearm. Do actual background checks. Yep, stop making these dumbfucks celebrities. They should only ever be referred to as the shooter, and absolutely no images of them should be shared. Most of the general public probably couldn't name 5 mass shooters. There has been a major shift in reporting on mass shootings, at least on the local level, where the name of the shooter is reported in the immediate following of the event, and then not mentioned again. Everything afterwards is focused on the names of the victims and community reaction to the shootings. Both local stations I have worked for have implemented this method of reporting. Wow, this is actually accurate and a change I hadn't noticed until you pointed it out. I know exactly who did Columbine, the Newtown school shooting, and the Colorado theater shooting, for instance. In contrast, I have no idea who did the Vegas shooting, Parkland, or the Boulder, grocery store shooting. Like, I know vague details but not their names. This is a good change. We need to stop making these shooters celebrities. Well, for starters, make sure your local police force isn't made up of a gang of cowards. How dare you expect police to waste their time stopping mass murder? They have speeding tickets to write and drug kingpins to arrest for having a dime bag in their car per second, in case it isn't obvious. If they weren't writing tickets, how would they afford all the guns to lean against outside the schools as kids are being shot up inside? Everyone is arguing that it's a mental health issue, but there are people with mental health issues and shit healthcare all over the world and this still doesn't happen. I think the States needs a huge culture shift. And the vast majority of people who have mental health issues in the US are not violent. I agree it's mainly a cultural problem. The government can't fix radicalization or the glorification of violence. Better gun laws can help too, but it's a cultural issue. A multi-pronged solution. It's a mental health issue, yes, it is. We need gun control, yes, we do. We need to stop bullying, yes, we do. I think too many people are just looking for one solution. We have to prioritize short-term vs long-term goals. This won't change immediately. We also need to give our children hope. They currently do not see a life ahead of them that is equal to or better than the one their parents lead. They see nothing but pain, strife and hopelessness. We need to show that we can give them a world that is as clean when they are adults as it is now. We need to show there will be a career waiting for them, that they will be able to afford housing and be a member of a healthy society. Hope is one critical part of the solution. Hell, we need to give our adults hope. I'm mid-30s and feel like I'll never be able to buy my own home, let alone have a family. Retirement barely seems like a possibility as well. I see a world where Social Security collapses on my generation. Where we pay into a system that will give us nothing. Or someone goes mad and blows up the world with nukes. Or the temperature of the globe increases enough for society to collapse. Or water wars start. There are numerous threats that could cause societal collapse and we are told go to work and make someone else wealthy as they cause more of these issues. Or work for a company causing these issues. Just shut up and work, because if you don't you have no value, and if you do you contribute in some way to one of the threats societies face. Then they wonder why people have issues. A controlled way to help reach out to young men would be helpful as well. Overwhelmingly mass shooters are male and between the ages of 18 to 30, there is a psychological profile. I'm no mental health professional, but this seems like a targeted area to tap into. Obviously the majority of young men are not mass shooters, but it seems that almost all mass shooters are young men with social issues. Again, I'm not an expert on what to do with this information, but along with sensible gun control this seems like the right area to start with. The abstract idea of success pushed onto young men as expected breadwinners. Diminishing of the role of the family in raising a child. Emphasis on pass-forward/fail, rejecting failure as a learning opportunity, teaching children that your failures will follow you even if you improve. Modern social media focusing on engagement results in rewarding darker content and echo chambers that give people something to blame. World has moved so fast that wisdom across generation gaps have mostly become useless, but young people are still taught to expect certain things which are non-applicable to their lives. Increased need to cope results in habits that reduce inhibition, drugs/alcohol. Men are taught that anger is an action rather than an emotion. So they suppress it and never learn how to process it. Schools rely on mutual punishment for conflict resolution rather than conflict resolution. Easy firearm access. That's just off the top of my head. My points could be reduced to family and schools are teaching young men all the wrong lessons. Then edgy social media picks up the slack. And guns. One thing to consider here is that mass shootings account for a tiny proportion of gun deaths in the US. We're talking like less than 0.5% of the person killing another person deaths, which, themselves, are less than half of the deaths caused by guns in the US. They just get advertised on every screen in America whenever they happen because they are highly emotional events tied directly to powerful people's political agendas, and, from there, the availability bias takes over. If the goal is to solve gun violence, we should start by focusing on suicide rates and why so many people decide that their lives are so bad and have so little hope of getting better that they'd be better off not lived at all. Don't get me wrong here, mass shootings are an issue, are disproportionately carried out by young adult males, and should be addressed. In my view, they are simply overshadowed by much larger issues. People realizing two very important facts that have become painfully clear in the last 4 years. The government does not care about you. They will not protect you or your children. Law enforcement does not care about you. They will not protect you or your children. No one is coming to save you. Act accordingly. No one will come to save you, but they'll come right soon to punish you. Better buy some guns to protect myself. Hence the Second Amendment. Full circle. Term limits on all senators and House representatives. Also, make lobbying illegal. Wouldn't one cancel out the other? I hate geriatric senators who haven't stepped out of the DC bubble in 40 years too, but wouldn't term limits just grease the wheels of the revolving doors between senators and the private sector? If a senator knows they are only in the job for 4 years, they need to be nice to the corporations who they'll be asking for a job for once they leave. It's like I keep telling people, I'm not against term limits on principle, but they aren't going to solve the problems you think it will. May not solve anything in fact. There are already term limits built into the system. It's called voting. We've got a lot of data on term limits and they have the opposite effect most people think they do. They make representatives less responsive to their constituents, more reliant on lobbyists, and less serious. Since they are either riding out their term and don't have to worry about re-election, they don't do basic constituent services, or they are termed out and so they are running for their next big office, so they are saying ridiculous things to get more media coverage and attract more campaign donations. This second one has the bonus effect of increasing partisanship and reducing compromise. Just to start anyone out who wants to read up on it, https://10.1111/j.1939-9162.2010.00004.x https://10.3162/036298004x201212 https://10.1111/1468-2508.00218. One of the Upper Midwest universities, either Minnesota or Michigan, has a bunch of stuff too.